In this lecture, we're going to look at some more common used protocols, particularly mail, email, HTTP or web access, and then remote access. If you've ever used remote desktop or one of the other remote applications, then you know what we're talking about here. So let's go ahead and look at some more common protocols that are usually used in a corporate environment. Okay, so Module 6, Section 6. The first one we're going to look at is the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. And sadly, this is really used very seldomly anymore. Everything now is IMAP, and that's Instant Message Access Protocol. Very little is done with SMTP anymore. It's not secure and it's clunky. But you still need to know what it is. SMTP is a network protocol for sending, receiving, and relaying outgoing emails. It's outgoing emails. When SMTP was big, it was used for outgoing emails, and POP3, plain old post office, was used for incoming. So SMTP is an application at the layer. It's at the application layer. Pardon me, that's layer 7. It defaults to port 25, and then the secure version uses port 587. Once again, the secure version is secure, but it's not as commonly used as IMAP. We'll talk about IMAP a little bit later. Email systems use SMTP to send emails from server to server. And the two other applications are Post Office Protocol and Instant Message Access Protocol. So HTTP is not really a mail protocol, but it can be used in web-based email systems like Hotmail and Gmail and Yahoo. You'll notice they say Hotmail here. That should be Outlook.com. I still have a Hotmail address, but it's because I've had it for over 20 years. But it's very rare that anybody still has a Hotmail address. And Yahoo's getting pretty thin on the ground as well. There's not many Yahoo email addresses out there. Gmail is probably the biggest web-based email system left. HTTP uses TCP port 480. Once again, not many people send email that way because HTTP is unsecured, and it's just, unless you want your email just to be available to everybody in the world. Looking at POP3 and IMAP compared together, the typical uses, POP3 is access from a single device, where IMAP you would access from multiple devices. Email retrieval, POP3 gets either the entire message or just the headers. IMAP can get subsections of the email, whichever ones. The port, POP3 uses 110 and secure POP3 uses 995. IMAP uses 143 and secure IMAP uses 993. Can you have email folders on the server with POP3? No, you cannot have, like Gmail, you can build folders. You can't do that with POP3 protocol, but you can with IMAP. And you also cannot search like terms or text in email. You can't do that with POP3, but you can with IMAP. So go ahead and finish the participation activities, and then we'll look at HTTP. This is, once again, a protocol that has been deprecated. It's no longer in use per se. It's a network protocol for distributing graphics, audio, video, text, and hyperlinks on a network. It is an application, once again, layer 7 protocol. And by default, it uses port 80. Nobody uses it anymore. HTTPS is, in fact, most modern browsers, Chrome and Firefox, etc., they'll warn you before they send you to an HTTP page. They will say, hey, this page is not secure. You probably didn't want to think about not going there. So HTTP by itself, not very commonly used anymore. By default, it uses port 80. It also used port 8080 quite a bit. But once again, it is not secure. It sends information and requests over in plain text, and so that's kind of pointless. Anybody that's reading the data stream, if you got a copy of a port sniffer or a network packet sniffer, basically you own whoever's sending email that way or whoever's browsing the internet. HTTP connection is pretty simple. Basically, there's a request to the web server, and then the web server replies, and that's all there is to it. There's no encryption, there's no handshake, nothing like that. So make sure you get these participation activities done. Now, secure HTTP is another story. This is also known as HTTP over SSL or TLS. Usually TLS, there's not much, once again, going on with SSL. As we learned in the last section, SSL has also been kind of deprecated because the security is not as good as TLS. It's an extension of HTTP that uses SSL TLS to establish an authenticated and encrypted connection. There is a handshake and there's an encryption and there is a key exchange so that HTTPS can send secured encrypted data. It's used for secure data exchange between a browser and a server. It's an application, once again, layer 7. The application layer uses TCP port 443 by default. It relies on the cryptographic services of SSL TLS, and it uses digital certificates for authentication, encryption for data confidentiality, and message authentication codes, or MACs, for data integrity. It supports mutual authentication. It protects against man-in-the-middle attacks, and that's the major thing, is you've got somebody sniffing the data stream as it goes through the servers on its way from point A to point B. Then you have a man-in-the-middle attack. He intercepts the traffic and reads it and then sends it on to wherever it's going. And HTTPS protects that by encrypting the data stream so that even if he does get it, there's no way he can unencrypt it and read it. Participation activities. FTP, File Transfer Protocol, is another very old protocol. It's not secure. Nobody uses it. Don't ever use it. It's defaults to ports 20 and 21. It's also layer 7. All these protocols for communication are all application layer. They're all layer 7. Once again, it authenticates. It sends usernames and passwords in plain open text. When you send authentication to an FTP server, basically you're sending a username and a password, and it sends that in unencrypted text. So if anybody's looking at it, it's really easy to determine what your login credentials are, and then they can follow right in behind you and access the server. It is a client-server protocol, uses a command and data channel for communications. It transfers files between two devices. It's a fairly simple protocol, and basically the job it does is simple. It lets you upload and download files. Trivial File Transfer Protocol, or TFTP, is a simple FTP version primarily for transferring network device configurations. It uses port 69, and it uses TFTP to download network software. If you're doing a PXE, if you're familiar with booting a computer using PXE, that's how it gets the software into the system, is it downloads it using TFTP. Common FTP uses, you can use it to back up a server. You can send the data to an external server somewhere else, an off-site data repository. You can use it to replicate data. So if you want to have redundancy in your data, then you can FTP the data from one server to another, and then you can also use it for data loading. Cloud to transfer load. You can use the cloud to transfer load data to a remote device. You've got participation activities now, FTPS and SFTP. Both of those are secure forms of FTP. FTPS is also known as FTP over SSL TLS, or FTP Secure. It's an extension of the FTP protocol that uses SSL TLS to provide secure communications. It supports all the SSL TLS cryptographic protocols, including user certificates for authentication, AES and 3DES. If you've ever configured a router, you know what those are. Those are ciphers, different ciphers that security uses for encryption. And the SHA-1 and MD5 hash, if you're familiar with what a hash is. If not, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Basically, it's taking data and turning it into math and then comparing the math to what you expect it to be. So you run it through a function, and you compare the answer that you get from that function or that equation to what you expect it to be based on the data. And if it's the same, then you know that the data integrity is good. SSH file transfer, or SFTP. It's an extension of the SSH protocol. Basically, it enables secure file transfer capabilities between networked hosts, and the network does not have to be secure. That's one of the things that we learned about SSH TLS is it provides tunneling. It allows for a remote file system management that enables an application to list the contents to a remote directory. You can delete and create remote files, and you can resume an interrupted file transfer. If you're looking at the different protocols, what security is available, and the port that they use, you need to look at this little chart. Both of those secure forms of FTP are used to transfer files between networked hosts. FTPS uses SSL TLS to create an authenticated and secure communication link. SFTP, on the other hand, uses SSH protocol extensions for authentication and encryption of an FTP session between networked hosts. They are not compatible with each other, meaning one client for one will not work with the server for the other, and vice versa. You've got a participation activity, then a challenge activity, and that should cover file transfer and those communication protocols. Make sure you go through those, make sure you complete the activities, and also if you have any questions, let me know. I can be reached through the Canvas inbox or ask me in class. Have a good day.